Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Brendan Lee. In this video I want to talk to you about considering how to balance your life. Da-da-da-da. Thank you. This video comes from a question from my forum. You're invited to do that. Check the links in the description. You ask me questions, I provide content. Hey Brendan, I have a question in the domain of effectiveness or skill. So there's consciousness and skill. How do you balance commitment, structure, order, habit versus spontaneity, intuition, opportunity, adaptation to new circumstances? For example, say you commit to something and then some event has you reconsider that commitment. Do you honor your word to a T or do you change course? Thanks. Cool, Michael, Mikhail, whatever your name is. Thank you for writing. When I get these types of questions, I tend to hesitate to answer in a certain sense because I don't want to mix up my personal stuff, like what I do personally for myself, with your life. Your life is your life, my life is my life. I like to maintain a separation there and not to, as best I can, I don't pretend to tell you how to live and I don't give a shit how you do live, just please don't come hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's like, it's very much like you're on your own is how I operate. And then I might get these questions like, how do you do this? So I'm not proposing that what I'm going to share here is like how you should live your life, but mainly more considerations, things for you to look into for yourself and then see if they're powerful or not, or are they worth your time or not, or is it worth your while to do it like this or not? These kinds of things. This is my invitation. Again, I'm not trying to tell you, that the way that you live is wrong and you should change the way you live so that you're on some better spiritual path or whatever. I don't care about that crap. That's not my deal. Okay, so now, how do you balance commitment, structure, order, habit versus spontaneity, intuition, opportunity, adaptation to new circumstances? Well, one place I want you to look right away is notice how do you balance all of that stuff? And I think right there in that there's the word balance, right? But we could be referring to something and then see, balance, what is the something that balance is referring to? Now, there does seem to be a principle of operation here that we can look into and that you could adopt, and it's called balance. Okay, and then you're like, oh, Brendan, that's stupid. And then you might say, like, well, that's kind of dumb, right? You're saying something I already know about, but maybe not. Maybe look into the matter a little bit, maybe from the perspective from which you're viewing the matter. Try this perspective on. Like, look, in reality, things can balance. What happens when things are balanced? You see, like balance a log, it becomes still, it's settled, it's balanced. It could go off balance and then it would fall down. There's consequences when things are balanced. There's certain consequences when things are off balance. Stuff is consequent. There's consequences. Same with the body. If the body is balanced, it stays on its, if it's balanced on its feet, it stays on its feet. If it's off balance, it tends to fall down. See? A mind can be balanced or imbalanced. See, start to consider, okay, so we start to see a principle emerge. Why do I say a principle emerge? Well, because it's like in different domains. Same principle across different domains. Your body maintains something called homeostasis, which is a balance. And you know what happens when that gets out of balance. When you get sick, it's out of balance. And your body tries to come back to what they call homeostasis, where it maintains a certain temperature fairly consistently. And if that gets out of balance, you're not feeling good. You see? So now, and then people talk about work-life balance or just balancing your life out. Now, when you ask, well, how do I balance these things? Instead of me telling you about how I balance these things, perhaps I want to invite you to consider, well, how would you balance them? And the balance seems to come down to what it is I have going on personally. You see, maybe where I've set my balance point is to work a fuck ton of hours and then sleep, say. And somebody else might be like, well, your whole work-life balance is all out of whack. You're working too much and da-da-da. It's like, and then there's another perspective that I've seen in business videos online where some guys are like, what? No, 18 hours a day is the norm. You see? That's what gets that job done. So then they've chosen that path, and then maybe they find a balance in there with this, what other people would say that's not in balance. You see? So then bringing it back to you, the listener, and the question asker, thanks again, check the links, Bloody Boss Sales, come on down. You got to figure out how you want to balance things for yourself. And this is going to come down to, in terms of effectiveness, what do I want to accomplish? Say, start asking these questions. I invite you to ask these questions. By when do I want to accomplish it? How do I want my life to go? And then also, perhaps this is maybe more basic and more important. What are the consequences when I do X, I get Y? You know what I mean? Like if I drink a bunch of alcohol, I feel like crap the next day. Well, is this what I want to be up to? Well, no, but I like drinking the alcohol. There's the consequence. Okay, I like drinking the alcohol, so if I drink, there's a consequence. Am I willing to accept and live with that consequence in a powerful way or not? If not, then stop drinking. You see, so it's like a basic blocking out of, and this is a very silly example, but what I've noticed from myself and from other people is that I don't think they recognize the consequences. Like if I'm constantly angry at people, somehow maybe say I think people are against me. And so I'm constantly angry and fearful of people. If I might just be busy trying to resolve that and busy not noticing that there's a consequence, which is, I'm angry all day and I'm afraid all day. Who needs that? And then if I start to recognize the consequence, the choice becomes obvious. Stop being angry. Stop being afraid. Stop thinking people are against me. See? Don't need that. Why? Because the consequence is clear. So it seems to me getting clear on the consequences is one way that you can go so that you can navigate yourself. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to empower you to do the job yourself rather than tell you what to do, tell you how to do it, and then you go do it. Like here, give a person a fish they eat for a day, teach them how to fish. They can feed themselves their entire life. I'm trying to do more to teach you how to fish kind of deal. See? What are the consequences of your actions? Are those the consequences you want? Then the principle I have at work here would be like clarity, getting clear. What do you want to be up to? Given all of your things, how do you balance all these things? Commitment, structure, order, habit versus all that stuff. How do I balance it? Well, I get clear on what it is I want to be up to, and then I balance it. So go right ahead is the quick version. Now, in terms of commitment, again, not a right or wrong way to live. See? But consider perhaps instead of right and wrong, consider what I'm about to say is like, is it powerful or not? Or is it worthwhile to do or not? And this is considering commitment, right? So commitment, again, if we take it as a principle, not as something that you should do or should not do, but more like a principle, like if you balance things, they're balanced. If things are whole and complete, then they're whole and complete, right? Or if gravity is around, objects come to each other. That's not right or wrong. It's just like a sew. If you crack the vase, it breaks. Now, commitment, if we take it in terms of the principles don't really, one of their powers, they don't give a shit about you. They don't care about whether you like them or not. It's just whether you align with it or not, or create it or not, and you will get the results or not. It's not how do I feel about it. Principles don't care about how you feel, luckily. Thank God. Right? See, so commitment, what is that like a principle? Start to consider commitment, the power of that. Commitment means it's done. The principle means when you commit to something, it's a fucking done deal. There isn't like, I commit and then I don't. Commitment demands completion. say, or whatever you're committed to, it's done already. That's commitment. And, like I hear from Peter, fun stories, like back in the day, apparently there were two schools of samurai. Samurai? Yeah, something like, there were two schools, I think samurai. There are two schools. It's basically like, one, you get the job done or die trying. That's one school. And the second school is, you get the job done and you're not allowed to die. See? That's commitment. Now, if you consider the power, if you can commit like that, you have no choice but to get it done. It's over already. As soon as you commit, it's a done deal. Right? So then, in terms of like, if I commit to something, you see, it is useful. It appears to me to be useful to know the difference between, like, because, for example, if say you meet somebody else, and then you know that person, when they say something, it's a fucking done deal. Now, if that person tells you something is going to happen, it happens. That's an extreme power. Imagine a person like that, right? Or like a person that says, okay, well, at 3 o'clock tomorrow, I'm going to come over and I'm going to beat you up. And you know it's a done deal. You start to get scared because you know that no matter what's going to happen, they're going to come find you at 3 o'clock and pound you or whatever. See, beat you up. You see, whereas somebody else, and this is how most normal people live, like say, for example, we instead of taking it to the violence, we go like, okay, well, I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 3 o'clock for the coffee. A committed person, you know they're going to fucking be there at 3 o'clock come hell or high water. Somebody else, then this is what normal people are like, oh, I'll be there at 3 o'clock. They say it, but you know they're not committed. Now, which person do you see as more powerful? What words are more powerful? Which presence is more powerful than one the other? You see, it's obvious. It's obvious. If it's not obvious, then you're definitely missing what I'm saying. You see? So then, say I commit to something now, or say you commit to something now, and then your next question seems to be, if something happens, do you reconsider your commitment? Well, again, this comes up to your own personal preference. The principle demands commitment, which is to say, if you commit and don't follow through, then you have broken your commitment, and you can't get around that. It's just the way it is. It's not right or wrong. It's just a broken commitment. And you'll likely feel wrong about that because in our society we have a bunch of crap about what's right and what's wrong and what we value and don't value. But I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying, like, if you break it, it's broken. Now, it depends. Some people might draw a line somewhere. Like, for example, if I tell you I'm committed to come see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock, but then, I'm on my way over there and something severs my leg off and I'm bleeding out, I'm probably not going to make it, but you're probably going to get a phone call. See, now who does that? Or I could tell you later on, I would be like, I'm sorry, I didn't make my commitment at 3 o'clock. My leg was off and I was dying. Sorry about that. And likely, given our cultural background, you will excuse that. But then again, this is getting into the nitty gritty of, where do you draw the line? It's like, and then you have to you have to, for yourself, if you want, draw the line yourself. But, my invitation here is, if you want to be more on the side of power, then it would behoove you to be very careful about what you commit to. And notice that there are consequences if you commit to something and then break that. There's consequences not only for other people, but more importantly and most importantly, there's going to be consequences for you. You will think of yourself that way. Somebody that commits and then doesn't. You will lack trust in your own self. Yourself, this thing. You see this thing kind of like in the body, in controlling the body, myself will lack power if you do that. You will lack power. You, as a self thing, will lack power. People won't trust you, and you won't trust yourself if you do that. See? So this goes back to what I said before, recognizing consequences, and then you choose how you want to live. If you want that power, then it demands certain orientations and certain actions. If you don't, then it doesn't. You can do whatever. See? So then it sounds like here you're trying to ask me, my sense is from the question is you're trying to ask me so that you can get a better way of how to gauge for yourself what to do. And this is like, I can't necessarily, I'm not going to, it's above my pay grade to tell you sort of how to live. But I can invite you to, as I've done in the video, ask questions for yourself so then you get clear on what you want to do. Okay? So let's see. Some event has you reconsider that commitment. So now, to maybe drive the point home a little bit more and go, here's a different way of considering it. You see, like, back in the day, like, when I consider old school, right? Ralston's a bit old school. He also doesn't suffer fools easily at all, right? If I want to be respected and honored, perhaps among those whom I really respect, then I have to toe the line. Which is to say, that if that's important. And also for myself, if like I want to have the kind of self that is powerful, that does not fuck around, then the invitation is to be careful about what you commit to. And if you commit, you make sure it's fucking done. Like if a consciousness apprentice or an apprentice or something were to commit to something and then something small comes up, which often people have these things where it's like, I don't know, they commit to something and then something else comes up that they'd rather go do, so they just break it. In my book, this is a no-no in terms of, the way I want to live. No, you don't fucking just willy-nilly commit to something and then like, oh, because I want to go get some French fries with another person. No, I don't give a fuck. Or here's a place where it tends to show up and maybe even more. It's like, well, I commit, like I'm committed. And I don't know, my significant other is like, oh, honey, I need you for this, this, and this. It's like, no, it's already over. You see, I'm doing this. I'm sorry. You need to find another way to handle that. You see? And then they might get into trouble. And I don't think people understand that level of seriousness with that shit. Or like, I've given my word. I tell you I'm going to be somewhere at 3 o'clock. If I'm a minute late, this is unacceptable. See, most people have that it is acceptable. I can just dick around, but not if it's been committed to. And that comes across, I think, in this culture as a hard line, whereas I suspect that back in the day, what I'm calling this more old school, that's the norm. And I want to take a stand for and a strong invitation for people not doing this petty bullshit. Or like I went and lived up in Seattle for a while, right? And I got a sense of some of the people and the way that they would do stuff up in the Pacific Northwest. And it's just kind of like, oh, we'll come to the party, but never show up. Oh, I decided to do something else. It's kind of like this laissez-faire shit. I'm like, come on, if you say you're gonna go to the party, go to the party. You don't fuck around. If you don't, or here's another place where it comes up, right? Like, and I'm on my soapbox, okay? So just, enjoy. Don't worry about it. I'm just soaping away. Fucking A. Oh, I couldn't, like, I talk to people here in Texas. Oh, I couldn't say no. I didn't want to be rude and tell them no. So what? You be more rude by telling them yes and then don't show up? What the fuck is that? You see how that goes? No, if you don't want to go, tell them. Don't want to go. I'm not going to go. It's that easy. Then your word is solid, your commitments are solid, and you don't damage yourself. You see? And then you're known as that. Oh, you see? I talked to Ralston. Peter, do you want to do this? He'll flat out say no. That's refreshing. You know exactly where you stand. Okay, cool. He said no. And you can also trust that if they're not going to do something they don't want to do, and it like clears the air a little bit. You talk to some people, you're like, well, I don't know where I stand with them. I don't know. Do they really want to come to a party or not or whatever? It's like, no, it just like cuts through the crap. You see, I don't think we do that anymore. And I'm obviously a fan. You see? So, that being said, that's my point of view. I don't care if you adopt that or not. I'm just hitting your mind with that so that you have this, perhaps if you don't live this way, you have some contrast. And if you do live this way, good, you have some support. I'm with you 100%. I value these things. You don't have to value them. Right? But it's up to you. It's up to you. But then you can consider, is it worth it or not? Is it powerful or not? And then how do you want to live? You see? And then you got to figure out where you draw the line. Okay, my leg's chopped off. All right, I can renege on this commitment, but I will accept the consequences. You know, maybe my leg's chopped off and there are some serious consequences because I wasn't able to show up. Well, I'm ready to accept those. I think this is a positive, powerful attitude for that kind of stuff. Rather than like try to make an excuse. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't make it. My leg was gone and and feel sorry for me. It's like, no, I gave my word. It's very important. I give it, keep it as best I can. See? And then there's consequences to keeping your word and staying committed. Yeah? So then, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. The thing I want to leave you with is like question, wonder, consider for yourself what it is you want to be up to. I've probably circled on this a few times throughout, like my videos kind of go in circles sometimes. All right. And I hope that's given you something to work on. And then let me know how it goes for you. Or hey, if you have comments about this, fire me some comments in the section. What did you discover about giving your commitments versus not? What are the consequences? All these things, leave me a comment. Let me know. All right. So blah, blah. Thanks for tuning in today. If you want to get serious, please, I want you to consider coming here to do a workshop. They're not necessarily in the skill domain, although sometimes that enters, but mostly it's all consciousness now. Oh, and we do some martial stuff. Come do work with your bodies. I've noticed with the consciousness apprentices that are here that when they work with they sit down a lot on cushions all day and they get, they're working on being conscious and more aware and all this stuff. But then something happens when I have them try to learn stuff with their bodies. It's like this whole other domain of awareness, this whole other domain of consciousness that can occur. And that's with the body and interaction and movement. And they have a lot of fun with some of the games and exercises that I'm having them do. And also I can see them starting to relate to their body experience differently, which is, your body's the only thing you got here, you see? So you might as well learn how to use that too. And this is a strong invitation for you to come check out not just the consciousness, but also the martial arts that we do. It's good for everybody. We've had people from all age ranges, all skill levels. And don't be intimidated by the word martial arts. Think of it more like body interactive consciousness. So we can just take all this like martial arts bullshit out of the way. You're going to learn how to use your body, learn how to make your body more powerful, more skillful, more mobile, more sensitive, more alive. I have a lot of fun training my body, so you're invited to do that too. All right? So if you want to get semi-serious, check links in the description. I got a paid course. Got a free course, paid course. Hire me to be an online coach. Very important though, come to a workshop. They will kick butt. No matter what you get in these videos, it does not compare to the same as doing a workshop. Why? It's kind of like if you watch a video about riding a bike versus riding the damn bike. They're not the same thing. Okay? So come do that. Hit the links in the description. Fire me an email. Shoot me a comment. Keep learning and growing and considering for yourself. Much love. Take care. Till next time. And keep writing me in the forum. It helps me create content for you. All right. Catch you later. Ciao.